Welcome to Eagle Conversations. I'm Makayla Taylor. I'm an intern working with Eagle London, originally from the United States. In today's episodes, we'll be talking about Black history and why it's important and why it should be celebrated. Yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. First, I would like for you guys to introduce yourselves, tell the people what you do and why you decided to talk with Eagle London today.
Well, my name is Gertrude. I work here in London. I'm into the social work sector. But other than that, I'm a gospel artist. I'm a writer. I'm a singer. I'm a worship leader. And also, I do MC for events, planner and all that. So yeah, I've got a lot on my plate. Thank you.
So I'm Edward Adonteng. What do I do? I just do my best. That's the easiest answer I give. But on a day-to-day, so I work in a school. But just to follow up with Gertrude's lead, I'm an essayist, so I write essays. I write poetry, I do poetry, I rap. Well, I don't really rap as much as I used to, but I must say I'm still a rapper. So I curate, so I'm a curator. I just do a bunch of different things. I spin a lot of plates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to introduce myself so you guys have a better understanding of who I am and why I'm here. So my name is Michaela Taylor. I'm 19 years old. And I am from South Florida. Growing up with an American mother from Chicago and a Jamaican father, my culture, I often didn't really know exactly where I fit in, whether it was with my friends at school or anywhere really. So my cultural identity always been a vibrant blend of both worlds. Recently, I've had the privilege of deepening my connection with my mom. We took trips to Chicago where I met her mom and my great-grandmother, and speaking to them really broadened my idea of where my family's from on that side. But when I was younger, I lived with my grandmother and my grandfather, my paternal grandparents, and those are where my fondest memories were. Growing up with my grandma, she cooked a lot. She loves cooking. So I fell in love with the food. And my grandfather, he loves Bob Marley's music. So I grew up, his ringtone was One Love. I used to be like, what song is that? What is that? And he was like, oh, let me show you. So from then, I fell in love with the reggae and just the whole vibe that Jamaica has. I traveled there once, but that was when I was younger, 12. So I don't really remember much, but I definitely want to travel back there and just see exactly where my parents grew up. And the first topic that I really wanted to talk about was why we celebrate Black history. Okay, so there's 4 main reasons why people celebrate Black history. For one, it's empowerment. So we want to acknowledge achievements that the people before us have made, and we want to celebrate those achievements because they've paved the way for us now to continue making a great impact onto the world. Also, we celebrate to educate others on our different cultures or just our different experiences and really to share it with the world. And my favorite thing is just remembrance, really self-reflecting and just reflecting on the leaders who really sacrifice even their lives for us. I'm really admired by their sacrifices. So one question that I want to ask you guys is, growing up in school, what did you guys learn about Black?
Growing up, so I grew up in South London. I'm from South London, Brixton. It's crazy. I think growing up, our Black history was very like American centric. It was very like through that lens. and any sort of history was very much MLK, Malcolm, civil rights movement. So it was very much like the backbone was the 60s, like talking about civil rights, voting, protests, Montgomery, Rosa Parks. And I think for a lot of us, just tell me what the question is. I want to make sure I don't go off on a tangent.
What did you learn about in school?
Yeah. So it was mainly just that. Like it was just that for Black history. Like think about people that they marched and stuff. But I think for me, the crux of where my Black history during my school time, I got a lot of that outside the school. So like in my area, we had a lot of like what I call them OGs, but like older men, women that would like kind of be just outside kind of shouting, selling books and stuff. But they kind of, call me and I'll be like 9, 10, 11. They'll be like, yo, come. Go look at this person. Go look at that person. Yeah. And so that immediately, for me, it made my identity globalized. Does that make sense? In the sense where like it wasn't just a single, like I wasn't just getting that one Black experience. Yeah. And I think from young, I was able to see that the Black experience or identity isn't just one thing. It's so varied. And like in the different people that I would look at, whether it was Toussaint Louverture from Haiti, or Steve Biko, South Africa, like it was very, very varied. And so that allowed me to, I think even now as an older person, I'm very much in the mind of like, what does it mean to be Black British? But yeah, to come back to your question, yeah, man, it was very much in school. It was the sort of the classics, but outside of school is when I got those different avenues on my history.
Okay. What about you?
I think unlike you, I grew up back home. So.
And where are you from again?
I'm from Malawi. Okay. So what I learned was like being Black doesn't make you less of a person. Mm-hmm. You're Black, you're beautiful, you're bold, you are strong. And we kind of like growing up, we were empowered to celebrate our authenticity about being Black, because there's something about being Black, you understand? So I don't remember growing up learning about Black History Month. Mm-hmm. I started, hearing about this when I came here, which is about 23 years ago, that Black can be celebrated. And I had this privilege, was it 10 years ago, whereby I had a feel of how Black is celebrated in this country. So there was a big concert and people were just, singing songs, empowering each other. And one of the songs that was sung, I'll never forget, Something Inside So Strong, I Know I Can Make It. And that time I was just singing it naively, but now it's got some kind of meaning. So from where growing up in Malawi to coming to this country, I'm super proud of my Blackness, or whatever you call it. Yeah, I'm super proud, and I'm so thankful for my parents to ground me, to say that skin color is nothing. You understand? Yeah, just to embrace my color. And also, as I'm embracing my color, and also appreciate other people, other cultures for their colors. Because it's just the skin color, but we are one.
Yes.
And human. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Growing up, Black history was a very small topic in my history class. They were just learning about slavery and mostly negative things. And the positive things were Martin Luther and how he tried, and Rosa Parks and Malcolm. But it was mostly just slavery, and I never really got that. Like, what happened? What about the achievements that we've made? They don't really talk about the achievements or anything like that. I found that very odd. But I wanted to ask, so you're you're Malawian, you're born there, and you were born here. How does your ethnic background intersect with your national identity?
That's a good question. So I'm an Akan person, so like that's my ethnic group, and we speak Tree. We're in Ghana. Some of us are in like Ivory Coast. We're a meta ethnicity, and by that it's like we're huge. There's a lot of us. How does it intersect with my national identity? So I'd say being a Ghanaian person in London, there was a huge influx of like Ghanaians. Obviously, definitely, Windrush was predominantly like Caribbean folk, and I think in the decades after, we saw more African people coming. Ghanaians came like they came in like the 80s. My dad came to this country when he was 18. Like he just so a bit of origin story. My grandmother was a trader, so she used to sell like, she'll come over, she'll bring yams, sour sop, from Ghana. She'll bring it, she'll come and sell it, she'll go back. And so she was always here. And my dad was a bit of a, I want to say it was trouble. In the sense of, not like, he was just like, like always kind of doing business deals here. And then one day, like, he was at the shop and his mom's like, yeah. He's like, yo, mom. And he's like, oh, no. My grandma was like, pack your bags, we're going to London this evening. He's like, what? Yeah, because as I'm thinking about it now, there was a business deal that went wrong, but not like crazily wrong. Like it wasn't in like trouble, but like someone told his mom. So his mom was like, "Yo, pack your bags, going to London today." And he thought she was joking, but she was so serious. And she put him on a flight, brought him to London. And I remember when my dad tells me the story about he's on a Piccadilly line, thinking like, oh, like Britain that they, London that they describe as like the streets are paved with gold, and he's like, it's raining, it's dark, why am I here? I want to go back. And, my grandma was like, give it 2 months. And he gave it 2 months and he never left. And it's interesting as I'm older, listening to him tell me about his experiences as a teenager, growing up in this country and other like older Ghanaians. And I can see very much, and again, so I'm in South, I'm in Brixton. And even in the way that, I speak, like, yeah, I'm chatting to you, but then sometimes I kind of slip into an accent. And obviously, South London English, if you want to say, it's a mix of Cockney, but then there's like a heavy like patois in the way that we speak and what we say, how we like our cadence, the way that we say things. And I think even down to, so, Teddy can back me up, like when you shake someone's hand, there's a click at the end of it. And that's something we do in Ghana, but when you're in the ends, when you're here, people do that and you're like, raw, like, okay, cool. Yeah. There's also, we have these things called Adinkra symbols. And if you know like the Kente cloth and stuff like that, like you always see these symbols on the cloths. And again, when I'm here, when I'm in Peckham, you see the aunties selling the cloth, you see Adinkra symbols. Nowadays you've got people wearing like rings and chains with the symbols on it. And it's like, oh, raw, like these are things I see back home, but they're here, which is also my home. Do you get me? So I think I'm very lucky in the sense where there's that blend. Like even when I'm not in Ghana, if I go Peckham, I'm in Ghana. If I go Camberwell, I'm in Ghana. What I'm smelling, the restaurants, that's all still there. There's, as a teenager, if I'm outside and I know there's an auntie on the bus, I'm gonna be like, oh, let me just choke. My mom's gonna hear about it one way or another. Do you get me? So it's a really nice blend. National identity, for a very long time, it was really hard for me to like the idea of being British. I was very much like, oh, I'm a Londoner. I'm a Londoner. But I think, as I'm getting older now, I don't think there's anything wrong with understanding my positionality. Like, yeah, I was born in Britain. What I eat is very different. The way I speak is different. What I like, what my smells, how I dress is very different. That doesn't mean that I'm any less. You get me? That's just who I am and that's my experience. So, yeah, man.
Just to add on what you've said, there is a saying, I don't know who invented it, but I know I use it and a lot of people use it, that you can take a girl out of Malawi, but you can't take Malawi out of her. Meaning, physically I'm here, but my mannerisms, what I eat, it's Malawian. And actually, I like to eat my delicacies. They are very, very nice. No disrespect to the food that we eat here.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, physically I'm here, but I still identify as a Malawian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still, just like you've said, I eat Malawian food. I speak my language, even in this country, not in the presence of people who doesn't understand that, because I think that's nice. That's not nice. But I still speak my language in my comfort zone. Yeah, because I don't want to fully forget my roots. Yeah. It's a blessing that I'm in this part of the country, but I've made sure that I don't forget where I'm coming from. You understand? So just like what you've said as well, that being here doesn't make me to be superior than people that are in Africa. For me, it's just maybe the timing that I'm here, but I still identify with my culture. I like my culture. I greet people, even on the bus. I greet, like today, I was on the bus and I saw this elderly man who was struggling, standing up, and there was a girl who was sitting on the chair, which was meant to have two people in there. I just, told her to say, please, can you let the man stay on the other part of the seat, because this is us, this is me, this is where I'm coming from. I have to show empathy where it is due. Yeah. So yeah, I would say that being here, nothing has changed. It's just my body is present in this in this country, and of course I have to behave like how I'm supposed to be in this country, because otherwise, if I do some of the things that I'll do home, I'll be checked out. So I have to be mindful, but I have to balance. Yeah. The thing is balance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I speak my language fluently. Yeah, I try to speak English. Sometimes it's broken, but I'm confident. I don't look back. I've learned over the years. And the other thing is when, like, you were born here, but let's take your father. He came here when he was 18. His tongue has not fully changed, transformed to speaking, English. There's a bit of, his language. Like similar to me, I've been here more than 20 years. But you can hear the Chewa, my language in it. No matter how hard I try, but you can still hear, that this person comes from somewhere. But we are trying. We are trying without losing our identity. Yeah.
For me, I was born and raised in Florida, but being raised with the Jamaican parents, I still had the culture. I love the food. I love everything about Jamaica. But even when I was going to school, people knew my parents weren't American, or both my parents weren't American. They knew I was something. I've been called. Some people think I'm Haitian. I'm like, no, but I feel like one thing I'm proud of is the way Jamaicans are proud. Like, they're bold. You will know when a Jamaican's in the room because they're just bold. And everyone who knows me knows I always tell them I'm Jamaican. I'm very proud of it. I used to know how to speak the dialect Patois, but as I got older, I kind of lost it. But I understand it very well. So if I was to go to Jamaica and hear the people talk, I wouldn't know how to understand. But my dad would. I remember when I went when I was 12, my dad was like, "Don't speak to anyone," because I don't know. He just didn't want them to know that I was here from the States. But yeah, I think knowing your culture and loving it. It's a very very good thing. Next thing I want to ask is one underrated part of your culture that you feel people need to know more about. I'll go first. One underrated thing. Not all Jamaicans are dark skinned with like dreadlocks. I feel like that is one thing that people think. So there are different ethnicities in Jamaica. You have Chinese people, you have Caucasian people, and oftentimes I'm often surprised when I meet a Caucasian Jamaican and I hear them speaking and I'm like, I'm closing my eyes. I see Jamaica, someone, it just didn't match up. But I find like that's one thing that people just don't take into consideration. Like my father, for example, if you were to talk to him, he moved to Jamaica. I mean, he moved from Jamaica to the States when he was 18. So he's been there ever since. And if you were to talk to him right now, you would not know he was Jamaican because he doesn't have dreadlocks, and he speaks very proper. So I feel like people often think Jamaicans are like, I mean, yeah, we're bold, but we're not loud and, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, that's one underrated part of my culture.
Yeah, I think on my part, I think I just wanted to say that not all Black people are arrogant. Being Black doesn't make you arrogant. And being Black doesn't make you ignorant. In my country, people are doing well. People are very learned, you know, because growing up, we were grounded, you know, like to put education first. Education is the key. People are doing businesses. People are, you know, are doing, I'm even overwhelmed. So not, you know, being Black or coming from a third minority country does not make you arrogant, does not make you ignorant, does not make you, you know, like poor. So I think there is a misconception about people who are Black. And we have been undermined, we have been underlooked for a very period of time. And we've had to defend ourselves to say, look, you know, don't think because I'm Black I can't do this. Black people have done a lot of things. They've made a difference, you know, in the lives of people. So I think this is one thing that people need to know. Yeah, that's why I am proud to be called Black. Yeah.
So underrated, right? Yeah. About my culture. I'll do Ghana first. I think Ghanaians often we're just kind of seen as like very like docile, peaceful. We just like to dance outside of our airport, but it's a lot more than that. We're very, very business driven, and even like on the girl power thing that comes up a lot. Like Ghanaian women, like when we're talking about business owners, like Ghanaian women are like have the most businesses in the world, and you can check that. Like they're business owners, they like it's them. Whether that's like in the market or they got their own kiosk, that's them. We're very business driven, very passionate people. So I just want people to know that. But also like not all Ghanaians speak Tree. A very big common misconception, especially like in London or like, you know, in the States, is, oh, you're Ghanaian, or do you speak Tree? And it's like, we have different ethnicities in Ghana. It's a multi-ethnic society. And then in terms of like my Black British culture, I want people to understand that not everyone sounds like Big Shaq. Everyone thinks that, oh yeah, and like we, you know, cool. If you're in London, we might speak like that, but you know, there's Black people. There are Black people that live in Birmingham or in Sheffield or in Leeds or Bristol, and they all sound very different. So like, I want people to understand that like Black Brits don't sound like Big Shaq. And that's just a stereotype. Yeah.
All right, so next topic I want to talk about is the many struggles in the Black community. Race injustice, health and well-being, and identity crisis here in the UK.
That one is a very bit sensitive question, topic. However, it has to be said. There's a lot of discrimination in any form, and bullying. I will give you an example of something that broke my heart to pieces when I'm sure most of you saw it. A black child in school was hit, and it was so traumatizing. She just sat there and people whipped her, pulled dreadlocks. It was really bad to the extent that people were just looking at the penetrators doing that to this young lady. And then, the country, like more especially black people and other races, rather, they had to join hands and do a demonstration so that the people who did that had to be brought to justice. So it took black people to come together to protest that, for the girl to get justice. So this is the country that we are living in, unfortunately. Things are changing, things are not changing. But what I see is a united front of black people standing to say, this can't go on. We also work, we also pay taxes. We are bringing things to the table, so we need to be treated equally, just like any other person. That's what I would say. I'll stop there because I can go on and on and on. But this is a big topic.
Race and injustice. Auntie, like you said, I could go on for time, but I think to keep it very brief. People think that Britain is very we're beyond the racism conversation. We don't, our cousins across the Atlantic, there, police did it. We don't have that problem, but at least for me, when we think about where all of this started, if we want to talk about slavery, we have to look at this country as being the blueprint for laying it all out. And because of that, it's often kind of pushed away in rooms, not really spoken about. A very common way to describe it is people will say that, in this country, it's, someone won't call you the N-word to your face, but they will very much do something in the office, whether they'll leave stuff on your, to make you feel it, that you are that. So I think it's definitely there. It's prevalent. You can look at the stats. In terms of black maternal deaths in the NHS, it's huge. Black women are they die because they're perceived as being stronger, so they don't need this, or they don't need treatment. And they did a study in 2020 about, is Britain, is the UK racist? And they said no. They said no. Despite all the stats outlining that they were. And so there is a big problem, and you don't need to look too far to see it. I think what needs to happen now is the conversations are good, and I think it's important that we have conversations where this is the problem, but at a certain point we need to stop just saying that's the problem and find viable solutions as to how we navigate that. And again, because we are human beings, and the question is, for me at least, and I got a lot of slack for it, is how do we aim, or how do we plan, or how do we organize around our humanities being restored? Because at the moment we're not treated as human beings. But that's me trying to keep it very, very concise and to the point.
I think just to add on that, conversations should take place, and action. Conversation and action, because it's easy to sit down and just talk about stuff. But then, you've spoken about it. What is the action plan? Of course, I've heard that there have been action plans put in place, but have they been followed? And what is the result? Because we can just spend time, let's change the narrative, let's do this. We are looking at the final product. What has happened? What have we achieved? Are people happy? Are people being treated fairly? Until then, that's when we'll know that, okay, change has come.
All right, so that was my final question. Thank you guys for being here. And something I want to say before we close is I want everyone to remember that Black history isn't just a reflection of our past. but it also is a beacon guiding us to a brighter future. And every Black voice matters, and it deserves to be heard. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep this conversation going. Thank you.